Bakubung Mathope Historical Chronology. Introduction. From the early presence of Bakubung ancestors in Magaliesburg area in 400 CE to an early offshoot of Barolong in 1600s, surviving war and conflicts in 1800s, surviving apartheid in 1900s, finally freedom in 1990s, still intact, diminished but determined. The day of the rise of Bakubung Mathope is yet to come. Let's look at the history of this tribe. Early Botswana of Falafadi. According to the wave theory in Origins of Tswana, L. Nongo's paper in Pula, Botswana Journal of African Studies in 1979, the Botswana are evident in South Africa in three waves. We focus on the first two waves because they include the ancestors of Bakubung. We also look at the carbon dating of iron smelting farming Bantu at archaeological sites in the areas where Bakubung and their ancestors lived. The first wave comprised Dikhoja, Batammaga, Batsatsing, and other early groups simply referred to as Bakgalagadi. Botswana ranged from Transvaal to East Botswana to Northern Cape. Dikhoja is a name that is closely associated with Bakubung, with accounts indicating that Bakubung came from or amalgamated with Dikhoja. The earliest evidence of iron smelting farming Bantu in Magaliesburg area was 460 CE. Progenitors, Barolong. The second wave was groups including ancestors of Barolong, Bafokeng, Batlaping, settling along the Molopo. By 1250 CE, Kgosi Morolong was reigning along the Molopo to the west of Mahikeng. According to S.M. Molema's The Bantu, Past and Present, an ethnographical and historical study of the native races of South Africa of 1920. Barolong's succession from Morolong are Noto, Morara, Mabe, Mabudi, Tsesebe, Setlhare, Etogane, Molotwe, Ratlo, then Tau. After Tau passing in 1670, Barolong split into the main groups known today. Bakubung, offshoots. According to D.F. Ellenberger's History of Basotho, Ancient and Modern of 1912, the Bakubung were an offshoot of Barolong living along the Molopo at Kunwane, west of Mahikeng. They separated and adopted Gubu as their emblem. A group led by Mabula, who was nicknamed the Dikhoja, traveled south of Vaal to Orange Free State area. The fate of these Bakubung included wars, dispersion, and absorption by Tlaping, Bataung, Bakwena, etc. They are led by Mabula, Tlabelo, Phatso, Mahwele, Mathueng, and Serame. This is not the lineage of Bakubung Mathope, although the timing of their departure from Barolong was similar. D.B. Copland article in African Historical Review Journal called People of the Early Caledon River Frontier and Their Encounters, date Mabula crossing the Vaal to escape attacks around 1630, which indicates Bakubung separated from Barolong in early 1600s. Bakubung Bakhofa, according to P.L. Brits, Ethnologische Reg, number 31, Ditama van die Ventersdorp. Late 1600s, a group of Bakubung were living in Mokedikedi, 30 kilometers north of Rustenburg. Just before 1700, they moved to an area 20 kilometers south of Rustenburg, Otlakaotsosu. From there, Bakubung moved to Molode. The members' oral tradition specifies coming from Dikhoja and Barolong and having only lived in the previous two places. Tying in the lineage from the time they separated from Barolong, they were led by Kubuisile, Kofe, Lube, Monkatusi, Ngabane, Pogwe, Titswane, and Mathope. Monkatusi to Mathope. Brits says Monkatusi was from 1650 to 1700 in Mokedikedi, then moved to Motlakotsos. He was followed by Nkabane, then Tsohwe, then Titswane, who died before 1800. Titswane had two sons, Mathope, born late 1700s, and Kwantle. When Titswane died, Mathope reigned in Motlakotsoso in 1800. Difatlane attacks took place and Bakubung moved. Some to Lepalong, Mathope moved to Molot. Mathope to Lesele Mathope. According to Charles van Onselen, the seed is mine. The life of Gasmain, a South African sharecropper, 1894 to 1985. Traveller Seonya Maine was taken in by Kgosi Mathope and his pregnant wife, Madubane, in Molote in 1825. Mathope dies and Madubane gives birth to Lesele in Molote. Kwantle, Mathope's younger brother, who had become regent, disputes Lesele the right to the throne. Madubane leaves with Lesele to Lehorutsi, where she comes from. Kwantle's son, Maomogwe, has a daughter, Maswasele, who marries Monna Kgotla. Kwantle hands the throne to Monna Kgotla. Bakubung then wants Lesele back. Lesele returns to lead in Molote until 1885. Monna Kgotla leaves for Lepalong, southwest of Potchefstroom. Lesele to Matopestad. Red says Monna Kgotla died in 1867 and Rateo continued in the Free State. In 1884, Elandsfontein, actually Molote, was to be purchased by Bakubung from the Boers, despite having lived there since 1700s. Bakubung contributed for payment, and when a signature was required, Rateo was brought in from Free State to sign, probably because he had a relationship with Potgieter and was literate. He had an actual signature, unlike Silisele. The deed was thus signed according to Dutch law and not Bakubung's Setswana tradition and cultural, customary law, which was not considered important at the time. Rateo's signature gave rise to a clash so fierce that Lesele and followers left to adjacent Sekamo, later to be known as Matopestad. This created a split in the tribe, and 22 loyal families left with Lesele Mathope to buy the adjacent Matopestad, leaving their home in Molot. Bakubung Mathope. Together with the Khosana and the community, the 36 families were Mathope, Seboge, Musime, Moralo, Motlakwe, Matsitse, Mafano, Rankoko, Lentswe, Sihube, Makala, Rapesiwa, Stima, Morobane, Motlabi, Malepana, Mangwedi, Chikolo, Matsaba, Ramafika, Paratsi, Seleke, Palatse, Madira, Tau, Mapela, Mokgari, Morobane, Modise, Moalusi, Modikwe, Ditse, Moane, Pape, Moponyane. Lesele was Kgosi in Matopestad, followed by Mathope, Lepheto, Cyprian, then Arthur, who had no sons. Thus Daniel, his little brother, took over, after whom his son, Solomon, was still young, so John, his little brother, stood in as regent. Surviving attempted removals. According to Transvaal Rural Action Committee newsletter, track number 5, in October 1984, the government had forcefully removed Bakubung Monna Kgotla and his son Rateo. in 1967 to Lieder. They wanted to remove Bakubung Mathope to Onderstepoort near Sun City, 8 kilometers south of Lieder, a barren forest of shiny toilets. The governments did everything in the meantime to prevent the development or even survival of the people of Bakubung Mathope. Because of that, and continuously harassed them trying to move them. Mathope was known by them as one of the last two black spots in the Western Transvaal, together with another place called Driefontein. In 1985, a visit by Edward Kennedy was arranged by John Mathope and others, who explained the situation to the senator. Upon confronting the government, they denied and desisted trying to move the village openly. The deportment continued, however, until freedom in 1994, when the village was finally left alone, a shadow of its former self and indeed what it could have become. After John Mathope, Solomon Mathope became chief. After his passing in 2022, Kgosi is now his little brother, the Philip Mathope. Thank you.